going to sit here like this the whole time.
Welcome to the morning after, where it is evening here and a very sad morning in the U.S.
Yeah, I'm still going to be mad by morning.
Yeah, I believe that. We are in Australia, as you can see. This is not our house.
We did this.
We're here. We came all this way for this. Oh man, I was gonna ask you about like your top 3 feelings from that game, but I feel like it's anger, and anger.
I mean, I can get more nuanced than that. My vocabulary is bigger than that. I think exasperated,
sure,
frustration,
mm-hmm.
and confusion. I think are probably my top 3.
Confusion. Tell me about them.
What are we doing?
Yeah, it does seem that that's been the theme of the tournament. What are we doing? Why is Juilliard's there? What's going on? Where are the subs? Confusion is good. Good word. Good job.
Thanks. I hate it here.
I'm trying to like form coherent thoughts and like make sentences, but I'm just so angry right now.
I like same, I guess, because I don't have words for how annoyed I am. I'm annoyed.
Yes, it's something that like it's been building for the last couple of years, several years since the Olympics, since the last World Cup.
We should have been working on next World Cup project since the last World Cup.
Yeah, and pandemic aside, everyone had to deal with the pandemic. Everyone's dealing with injuries. Everyone's unfortunately dealing with federation issues. Something's amiss, and that something is seeming to be tactics and coaching.
Cohesion,
unity, job role descriptions.
Yeah, as someone who has worked in a startup where there aren't a lot of job descriptions or clear who owns what, it does look like that out there. Of just like, is it yours or is it mine? We'll both go. It's fine.
Imagine a world where the United States soccer team was the best in the world. Want to go there?
I miss it there.
And then you pull back behind the curtain, and it's just an exasperated developer and a half-eaten burrito.
No, I don't know what you're now. I don't know where you're going.
I'm trying to go with the U.S. as a startup.
Yeah, no, but they're well past that stage. They're not a startup. They're not, and they shouldn't be. That's the problem. They aren't. There isn't one person behind a curtain pulling the strings. In fact, there's a whole federation. There's a coach that has had plenty of time to transition to a new squad and a new roster from the old guard.
Mm-hmm.
But we're showing up like this is a brand new thing.
Yeah, it's been pretty frustrating, and I think even after this game, we were kind of joking, like we can't wait for Blacko to be like we executed, we're very pleased, and yeah, it was just like we succeeded in what we wanted to do, and we're just like, was that what you wanted to do? Because yikes,
what we wanted to do? Because no, that's not what I wanted to do. Is it what you wanted to do?
No, I was aiming for like, let's score a lot of goals against Portugal so we can like have a chance at being at the top of the table.
No. Seems like Blacko is like, no, let's just survive.
That's kind of how it's been though in every tournament, friendly.
You say tournament.
It's the right way to say it.
Tournament.
Every underwhelming game that there's kind of been like the constant questioning of like, hey buddy, how's the plan for the midfield going? What were you thinking about for the roster?
And it feels like it was this was the plan. It was just like, I hope Juilliard's is going to be healed and Rose is going to be okay, but then we're not going to play them.
Thoughts and prayers. Our strategy is thoughts and prayers.
They got it from the government. Cool. That would explain a lot.
Yeah, and then Jason Anderson, who covers the Washington
Not
Spirit,
related.
not related, had made a mention of how was it Jason or was it Justin Horniger from St. Louis? Jason, Justin, I'm sorry, I'm very jet lagged. But the statement in question was like, Julie Ertz, it's gonna be great when Julie Ertz comes back. And then Julie Ertz came back, and then Becky Sauerbrunn got injured, and so Julie Ertz went to play Becky's role, which she's good at, but that's not what
we were doing.
What we were waiting for.
Yeah, and there is then no plan B.
No, there is no adapting.
No, and we saw it before with, we've been questioning it, and I will say, like, part of me has been like, okay, we'll be patient and see how it plays out.
Yeah, no, you were right.
Honestly.
Let them cook.
I guess, like, maybe we'll be surprised. Usually I'm the very skeptical one. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I just got tired of it, maybe, or what.
Yeah, that's the plan. Just kind of wear you down until
it's working.
until they get a tie to.
Why do you think I'm wearing a hockey jersey? I don't even know what I'm doing here anymore.
It's so bad. And I feel like finally the people who have been like screaming, Flacco, what are you doing for the past 2 years? I hope they feel a little vindicated.
Do you feel vindicated?
Yes, I feel vindicated after this.
But like, we don't want to be vindicated.
No, like,
we'd love to be wrong.
Flacco, lovely man, personable, friendly, but as the coach of the U.S. Women's National Team, something's not working.
I think he's a head case. Like, I mean, I say that as a fellow head case of, like, we overthink things.
Sure.
And
you can see that.
And people have said, he loves to be in the tactics and let's try this. But I think at some point, and this is years ago at this point, it needed to translate into, here's a hypothesis we're going to try at this series of friendlies or these camps. Validate those. Is it working? Is it not working? Okay, move on, and then build from that.
Yeah.
But I even remember a year or so ago where they were like, oh yeah, we've got some stuff we're trying out. And I was like, no.
Do you?
We need to be at a place where we're getting close to having things locked in.
Yes, and that was something we talked about, I think, at the beginning of this game that we were watching when, we get a new starting 11 for the first time, not the first time, the 50,000th time. You watch them on the field and there's no cohesion, not anticipating as you were so angry about.
I was also angry because I was very tired. Good old jet lag, who knew? But yeah, everything is a reaction. No one knows where their fellow teammate's going to be. No one knows where their fellow teammate is supposed to be and playing the ball there. Mm-hmm. People don't see where the ball is going and, head that way. Mm-hmm. They wait till the ball's there and then go, oh, I should go over there. And it's like, no, God, you have to be ahead of it.
Ideally, like, how long before a World Cup do you want to be seeing that on on the field? I mean, ideally never, but like, if you're trying to work out the
if folks are new,
6 months.
Sure. I'd say 6 months ago I would have been fine with that.
Yeah.
But from that point, it should have started getting better because you should have a core group that is getting used to working together, and
yes,
we haven't had that because we've been crossing our fingers for people to come back rather than just dealing with the reality of this person is unavailable. Let's make a team with the pieces we have right now.
Yes, that is. That feels
wishful thinking isn't a tactic.
Yeah. There you look at any other team in the tournament that's doing well right now. It's like Australia. For the last year or so, you could confidently say who is probably going to be in the lineup, save for like one or two people. England, same thing. Even with all of their injuries, you know what their pool is like and who they're going to be pulling in. It's just you didn't know who was going to be that core team. And even like right before roster announcements, there were so many question marks. Like, we shouldn't have been worried about Lynn Williams making this team.
No.
She should have been a lock months ago.
Well, and the idea that the first group game was the first time that group has played together is stupid. Yeah. That's dumb.
Yeah.
Like, that being able to know where folks are going to be is very important to how the ball moves, especially through the midfield, which is where we have giant question marks.
And we've had for some time.
The
scuttlebutt has always been what's going on with the midfield, and we've been asking that for a really long time.
Mm-hmm. And we've been wishing and hoping for old pieces to come back.
Yep.
Rather than update, replace, get new ones, do it. Oh, we got some fun flashing lights.
Ooh, that's fun.
I hope they're having more fun than we are.
Meg Linehan tweeted after the match that this was the worst she'd seen the U.S. play, and she's watched the U.S. play for a very long time.
And she's been at every match this year.
She has. How bad does it have to be that you've not like you? I'm just gonna say it. They've disappointed Meg Linehan.
Yeah,
they disappointed the 99ers.
What's your question?
I had one once. Now I'm just mad.
You're back to mad.
I'm back to mad and disappointed. Very disappointed in you.
Yeah.
In front of Mia Hamm. What were you thinking? One more thing that I do want to touch on, because it's apparently a global phenomenon, is the talking about the arrogance of the U.S. women's national team. I might just go on a rant about this real quick if you'll have me.
Yeah,
and then
go for it, and then I'll rein you back in a little bit at the end.
No, hold me back. We don't know exactly what Carly Lloyd said over here, because we have a different post-game show. This one has Jess McDonald, which is fantastic.
She's great. She's doing great, guys.
It also has former Matilda Caitlin Canuli,
fun name,
appears to be the Australian upside down version of Carly Lloyd.
Bizarro Carly.
Yeah, she was the Waluigi to her Wario. It was doing that, like, typical American arrogance, and like
said that to Jess McDonald.
Yeah, to Jess McDonald, which
bold.
The gall.
Bold.
But she tried to be like arrogant. They're dancing after the match, and then Jessica was like, okay, look, at the end of the day, they still got through to the next round, and that is something that they have to put this behind them and forget it ever happened and move on and focus on the next round. But then Miss Caitlin Canuli was doing a kind of like kids these days kind of bit of the next generation not gelling with the old generation. Mm-hmm. And like Jess McDonald brought it up in sort of the context of like the team isn't really united, and in the way of like in 2019 everyone knew what their job was. Mm-hmm. Everyone had something to do. This team, it's a little bit of a question mark for a lot of people.
Yep.
It's not a kids these days problem that we're dealing with.
No,
it is someone tell them what to do. This is millennials and Gen Zers. We all want to work. We all want to do our job, but someone has to tell us what to do.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't even go that far. I think the coach needs to tell you what your job is.
Yeah.
There's a person whose job it is to tell you what your role is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just I want to work, but I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Like they're all out there, but there needs to be definition and specificity to what your role is. There's also this, like, I don't think the disjointed between the generations is not the young kids don't want to listen to the old guard or don't respect them.
Yeah. No.
And that was what seemed to be implied there, and it was very weird.
And like that does go back to like Carly Lloyd's whole thing with like the culture's changed. It was like, no, the culture used to be like, freshman hazing. Yeah.
Like it was, yeah.
And it's like, you don't need that. That's not the culture that you want to build.
No. And again, for me, it goes back to Blacko of you don't have a set group.
Yep.
You have people who don't know if they're getting called into camp month after month.
No.
They don't know if they're making the roster. And that goes for the olds and the youngs.
Yeah.
And that lack of psychological security and just, basic job security is going to make everyone a little like, ugh, and like, do I need to do more? Do I need to do less? It brings doubt.
Yeah.
And then you get to the team and you haven't had them play together up to this point. You haven't created that bond between the groups. Mm-hmm. They don't have shared experience together. No. That's what creates that team level. It's not just, hey, we all want to win here. Let's all go out and do our best.
Yeah,
of course they
want to. They're professionals. They're the very best of us. Like,
yeah. But there has to be a cohesion amongst them of getting to know each other. Mm-hmm. And that's where the problem is for me. It's also, to me, like, we didn't need to be between generations at this point. That changed.
That was an Olympics problem that we should have solved.
And you had an extra year.
Yep.
And decided to just not keep kicking it down the line. And at some point, you have to make the change. Yeah. And you have to bite the bullet. And it's not going to be fun.
No.
But I would much rather you do it for an Olympics than a World Cup.
Yeah, it does seem like the strategy has just been like, cross your fingers, and a lot of folks who just have gotten injured, and so they're not in the conversation anymore. You just waiting for the injuries to make the decision for you.
And that's where I go to the Federation a bit, because I know there's pressure to keep certain faces around.
I believe that.
And for me, you need someone who's going to come in and say, no, it's time to bring in the new kids. It's time to, transition. And if we don't do it now, we're going to regret it. Here's why. But no one did that. And I really thought Flacco would be the one to do it, or hoped he would be the one to do it, because Jill wasn't the one to do it.
No, we're talking about Carter Lloyd, right?
I'm talking about Alex Morgan. I'm talking about Megan Rapinoe. I'm talking about Kelly O'Hara.
Woo!
I'm not saying they're not good and that they aren't good enough to be on this roster. Sure. But if you want to move forward, you need to anticipate some of these transitions out and make them kind of happen a little bit more together, rather than staggering through them a bit. It shouldn't be the player's choice. It's not their choice.
That's fair.
And again, I'm actually glad all of those players are here. I think there's a valid role for them.
Yeah.
But
it's like we don't have any veterancy without them now. But that shouldn't be the point.
No, that's not the point. And I think there's something for a young team building through experience together. You could have done that in the Olympics and had them get that experience together, but instead you've been leaning so hard on that old experience that you don't have the new kids getting that experience. Yeah, and so that's how you got this gap.
You have this gap. You have this weird average age that's like still really old, even though everyone on this team is really young, aside from the folks who are going to their fourth World Cup.
I think you do it at the very least line by line.
Yeah,
like up top, bring in the new kids. Let them keep one old in the midfield, one in the back line, and then in the midfield bring in a new kid, and then you gotta work through it eventually. Like you can't just
that's true. You can't just look. We all love these players. They've been a huge part of the team for a very long time, and it's always painful to watch your favorite player go, and I mean that's unfortunately the game. Like you don't always get to choose when you leave.
No.
That's why people retire from national team duty.
Exactly. And I have a lot of respect for players who retire from national team duty and then keep playing club. And there's life after national team.
What?
Believe it or not.
What?
And the U.S. has a deep enough pool and a depth of talent enough that we do not need to lean on what was. We can keep building towards the future.
Speaking of the future, any optimism for playing Sweden? I'm sorry, I can't say that with a straight face.
No. I don't know. I'm looking for other countries to adopt me. I'm just like, who wants?
Listen, we're a couple of free agents.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We're both still wearing USA.
We are to be technically still in the tournament. But just saying, as the tournament advances to say the quarterfinals or the semifinals, I have a Japan kit. I have a France kit.
I'm up to buy whatever kit.
Je m'appelle Leslie. This is my wife. Je m'appelle Emily.
Je m'appelle
It is. We're up for grabs, but not yet. Not yet. Just our agents are going to be sending an offer letter, and do with that what you will.
Again, I would love to be wrong.
Would love to be wrong.
Please let us be wrong.
I think we've reached a point though with the U.S. where it's like their luck and experience and grit has only taken them as far as it can go, and right now it was nearly an exit. Portugal came this close.
Like inches, centimeters.
Millimeters.
So yeah, millimeters here. I'm trying to figure out how many like milliliters certain things are.
How many milliliters is a goalpost?
I don't know. I also don't know why we don't have goalpost games yet.
Those. Portugal absolutely deserved to win that game, and I
don't know that. Like I saw people talking about. Is this the rest of the world catching up? This had nothing to do with the other
this one game had almost nothing to do with
I would
Portugal.
say all three of them have nothing to do with the rest of the world catching up.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. played like shit. They played under par for their... actually, under par is good, isn't it?
Over par.
Over par?
Shots and bogeys there.
They played below what they are expected to do.
Mm-hmm.
They played below what they should be, amongst
what
that
they're
group
capable
of individuals.
When you put those people together on a field.
Should be better.
Yeah.
And they lost like points. They didn't have them taken from them.
Yeah.
Another team didn't win them away.
Yeah.
They left them on the table to be taken. And that's the part that I'm just... There's no fight.
Yeah, and I mean it's with any luck, there's an actual reckoning and an actual sea change. Should they lose against Sweden? Knock on wood. I'm.
In the words
this
of
fucking team.
That's also an option. I was going to say the words of Hannah Gadsby, like, I identify as tired. And that is where I'm at this point.
I would ask you what you would take to the trash, but I think it's just all of this. Just take the entire coaching staff out to the bins.
Yeah. The whole group stage, maybe?
Yeah.
And we can start fresh.
Yeah, just new, it's a new tournament now. Survive in advance, as they have.
Tournament. Hanging on by the skin of our teeth. Fun fact, teeth don't have skin.
Yeah, that's how tight it is.
That's what it is.
Speaking of survive in advance, here's where we sit now in this tournament of who's in and who's out.
We're back! I'm Leslie Ryder, and I'm in Australia, where the light switches are completely different. Let's check in to see who's in, who's out, and who still has a chance to advance. Group A, Switzerland and Norway advance. Norway climbs out of the bottom of the table to advance on a tiebreaker thanks to their giant win over the Philippines. Group B, the defending Olympic champions are out. Nigeria advances to the knockouts for the very first time. Australia wins their group, and they now have a chance to be the first home team champions since the 99ers. Group C, Japan and Spain advance, just like we all thought they would. Spain blew out Costa Rica and Zambia, but then they got completely sunned by Japan. Japan is unstoppable right now. 3 wins, 3 clean sheets, and they've outscored their opponents 11-0. They have to be the favorites right now. Group D, England and Denmark pull through. Honorable mention to Haiti, who played so well during the group stage, but just ended up on the wrong end of 3 straight penalties and 1-0 losses. Just really awful luck for their debut. But these guys are going to be back, don't worry. Group E, Netherlands take the top spot, and the US barely survived their game against Portugal to advance. They stumble into the round of 16, where they'll likely face Sweden, as the ancestors foretold. Group F. Now, this is where it gets complicated. Panama is out, but the rest is completely up in the air. France can advance with a win or loss against Panama. Jamaica can advance with a win or a draw against Brazil, or if they lose and France loses. Brazil can advance with a winner. Group G. Sweden is through, but they can win the group if they have a win or a draw against Argentina. Second place is up for grabs. Italy advances with a win or a draw against South Africa. South Africa advance if they win against Italy. Argentina can still advance, but it's a tricky road. They need to beat Sweden and South Africa have to tie, or if they win by a better goal differential than South Africa. Group H. Colombia is pretty much through after beating Germany. They can advance with a win or a draw, or if they lose by less than 5 against Morocco. Germany find themselves in an unfamiliar spot. They have to win or match Morocco's result if they want to advance. Morocco only have one way through, and it's by beating Colombia. South Korea is still in this, technically. They can advance with a win over Germany, and it needs to be a big one. If they win by 5 goals, they advance. Who will survive and advance? Keep watching to find out.
That's our show, or whatever. Let's do this again this week.
I'm gonna watch other teams. I'm gonna have fun. Whatever.
Okay, yeah, no, I like that.
They're not
World
in charge
Cup.
of my feelings.
Yeah, that's fair.
I won't give them that.
That's fair. I will reclaim my feelings for myself.
Yeah. We will enjoy Australia.
Yeah.
And, go World Cup.
Yeah, go, go, go.